Good afternoon, all. I'm requesting all the participants to keep yourself mute and turn off your video.
Hello.
Ma'am.
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Shall I start now?
Yes, ma'am, you can start.
Vinay?
Yes, ma'am, you
Thank
can
you.
start.
Good afternoon. On behalf of Gokhale Education Society, Sri Bhavsab Vartak Arts, Commerce and Science College, Borivali, I heartily welcome you all. Gokhale Education Society established Arts, Commerce and Science College at Borivali West, Mumbai in June 1979 to cater the educational needs of the college in northwest suburb of Mumbai. It is the first degree college set up in western suburb of Borivali and Dahisar area with an aim to impart value-based quality education in a disciplined manner. In order to enable students to face the challenges of new trends, management has introduced self-financing courses, PG program, add-on courses, and certificate courses at this college. The college is permanently affiliated to University of Mumbai and listed under Section 2F12B of UGC Act, re-accredited by NAC and ISO certified. At present, college has around 4,000 students and about 100 staff members. The student-centric learning environment, qualified faculty, Wi-Fi enabled campus, a well-equipped library and laboratory, and consistent organization of national and international conferences has made our college as one of the most reputed college in northwest suburbs of Mumbai. Friends, the topic for today's national webinar is a unique, that is spirituality in education. There are two reasons for selecting this topic. The first one, in this month, on 9th May, virtually, we celebrated the birth anniversary of great freedom fighter and educationist Namdar Gopal Krishna Gokhale, after whom our educational institutions are named. The philosophy advocated by Namdar Gokhale is public life is to be spiritualized, and the same philosophy is adopted in our educational institutions too. In this backdrop, to enrich all delegates on the theme Spirituality in Education, this national webinar is organized. Now, for second reason, friends, today this COVID-19 has created a very volatile, uncertain, and to some extent, a stressful situation in our lives. Suddenly, the pace of our lives got altered and everything got stuck up. The outbreak of COVID-19 has passed many challenges in our lives. During this time of extraordinary disruption and anxiety, I feel spirituality will be encouraging all of us to convert challenges into an opportunity. When we decided the topic, spirituality in education, for today's webinar, only one name came to my mind for resource person, that is none other than Sir Dr. M.S. Gosavi, Secretary, Director General of our Gokhale Education Society, an international educationist, an authority on management thought from Vedas, Upanishads, and Gita, a visionary leader and my guru. The formal introduction of Sir Dr. M.S. Gosavi will be given by our HR Director of Gokhale Education Society and Principal of SMRK KBK Mahila Mahavidyalaya Nasik, Dr. Mrs. Dipti Deshpande. She is a dynamic leader of our educational institution. Once again, I heartily welcome Sir Dr. M.S. Gosavi, Dr. Mrs. Dipti Deshpande, and you all delegates for this webinar. You are requested to put your questions in chat box. Now first, Dr. Mrs. Deshpande Madam will introduce our resource person, Honorable Sir Dr. M.S. Gosavi, and thereafter, Sir Dr. M.S. Gosavi will enrich us on the theme of the webinar, Spirituality in Education. Thank you very much. Over to Dr. Mrs. Deshpande.
Myself, Principal Dr. Dipti Deshpande, HR Director of Gokhale Education Society, extend a very warm and hearty welcome to you all delegates in this technical session on spirituality in higher education. The resource person for this session is Master Teacher of Millennium and International Educationist, Sir Dr. M.S. Gosavi, Secretary and Director General of Gokhale Education Society. Friends, I would like to give breezy information about today's speaker to you all. Sir Dr. M.S. Gosavi is a uniquely multifaceted Sir Dr. M.S. Gosavi is a uniquely multifaceted management scientist. Currently Secretary and Director General of Lead Quality Educational Enterprise, Gokhale Education Society in India since 1973. Being established on 19 February 1918, Gokhale Education Society today has 150 schools and colleges under its umbrella, working in 3 zones, Mumbai, Palghar and Nasik. Today it caters to more than 1 lakh students and it has got more than 3,000 staff members under its umbrella. Sir is the main sculptor of establishing and developing this Gokhale Education Society. Sir has meaningfully contributed in the field of education for more than 61 years. He has world record to his credit of being youngest principal at the age of 23 with longest tenure of 37 years of principalship. He has received numerous national and international awards and honors. To mention few, Best Teacher Award for 4 times, Dasoh Bhushan Puraskar, Fulton Ratna, Nashik Bhushan, Master Teacher of Millennium, Knight of Millennium, Sir title, and he has been selected as one of the top 100 intellectuals of the world by Cambridge Biographical Center. Sir has written 20 books and edited and published not less than 100 titles. He has exclusive honor of being personally felicitated by the Chancellor of Universities in Maharashtra on completing his 25 years of college principalship on 15th June 1983. He is also blessed by Jnanpith Awardee poet Kusumagraj In the very first hour of his taking charge as principal of Pune University's BYK College of Commerce, Nashik. He is pioneer for giving to Indian universities MBA program by starting it at Nashik in 1968. He has transformed Gokhale Education Society and is the driving force behind cornerstone initiatives that integrate and shape Nashik as a knowledge superpower today. I request sir to start his discourse.
Dr. Mrs. Sant, delegates and participants, I have great pleasure in participating in this webinar on a very unique topic of spirituality and education. The purpose of education is to enable the learner to acquire confidence, character, competence, and make a career in the chosen field. It is through education that we can build a very innovative society which can provide peace, progress, and prosperity. Spirituality is the spectrum of wisdom that binds sagacity with light. India is the only country in the world which has great ancient heritage in developing spiritual sciences and spiritual quality life and living. It is a matter of great pride that India is the only country in the world which has to its credit Vedic literature, Upanishadic literature, and Bhagavad Gita, which has become the basis of all our life and living. Vedas have 1 lakh ruchas, which can be distributed in 3 parts of life. 80,000 ruchas deal with work, different types of work, different timings of work, work efficiency, work productivity, and so on. 16,000 ruchas are related to upasana, sadhana. How can we make our work more productive, purposeful, performance-oriented, and meaningful? And there are 4,000 ruchas which give us pure knowledge as Satyameva Jayate. Vedas constitute the fundamental science of life and living. And it is through Vedas that Upanishads have come, which give us insight into the correct, appropriate, and right living. It consists of several stories and experiences of the great sages and saints in those days. And we have mantras, one after the other, which Upanishads give, as we all know, Shanti Mantra. The entire world requires peace, tolerance, and value-oriented living. This comes from the spontaneous utterances of these sages when they have experienced nature, which is supreme. And then comes Bhagavad Gita, which is the philosophy of life that one has to follow for creating a happy and peaceful future. It is because of this philosophy that you have to work without the expectation of the fruit, that spirituality is spread in the society. And many saints and stalwarts who have come on the horizon right from Vedic times to the present times, like Yajnavalkya, Panini, Kautilya, Aryabhat, Varahamihir, Shankaracharya, Swami Vivekananda, and to the present days of our first President of India, Dr. Radhakrishnan. They have all said that it is through working for others, living for others, living selflessly, living ceaselessly, and living fearlessly, that one can build a society which gives eternal bliss and benedictions. This philosophy of India is seen in the life of Rama, in the life of Krishna. And we have these two great epics, Ramayana and Mahabharata, from where we can have, even in the ordinary common man's life, the way for spiritual living. Education is the only instrument in our hand for making our total living effective and impact making. Spread of education is necessary, but along with the spread, it is necessary that it has to be oriented towards building up confidence, competence, character, capital, and sort of a career for the learner. It is necessary that the learner must have a lifelong learning, critical thinking, and he must become the leader of change, because change is the only constant thing in the world. And if you can manage change, you can manage everything. That requires fearlessness, that requires competence, that requires confidence, and that requires a sort of a ceaseless work one has to do. And higher education particularly must be made more effective by curriculum development, training of faculty, building new forms of assessment, giving more and more importance to the linkages to be built between academia and the industry, and last but not the least, giving identity to the institution. It is necessary that education must aim for creating human excellence. Human excellence has many parameters. The most important parameters are the discipline, determination, and devotion on one hand, At the same time, selflessness, self-discipline and self-sufficiency on the other hand. It is necessary to be very transparent and also innovative and inclusive so that you create confidence in whatever you do and live for others. Spirituality and higher education go hand in hand. See, simple rules for life will enable you to become more and more a builder of a better life. The purpose of education is to create a better society, better life and living, live a world which is better. And for that purpose, if you follow certain important rules, spirituality will emerge and education will also become more qualitative and productive. Help ever and hurt never. Love and respect one and all. Be with the nature and develop the spirit of working together so that we develop trust, transparency and teamwork. It is necessary to see that spirituality emerges from the prayers that one performs. After all, what are Vedas? They only contained various prayers spontaneously expressed by those sages when they experience the beauty of nature, the beauty of ocean, the beauty of sky, the beauty of wind, and the beauty of human life as such. It is through such attitude which is positive and constructive that they have built up a sort of righteousness in the society. It is this righteousness which is very important, which gives you vision, which gives you virtues, which gives you voice, and which also ultimately produces wisdom. It is from that point of view that learning, relearning, unlearning, learning for life, learning through life, learning for life are important concepts in the history of Indian total philosophical living. India has contributed to the world in a very meaningful way by giving two great institutions, the institution of learning and the institution of family. This has created a sort of bond between entire humanity through certain qualities and virtues created in the working of this society. Vedas have prescribed this in a very unique way. I have divided the philosophy of Vedas in 4 parts. One part pertains to self-management. Second part relates to relations management. Third part relates to nature management. And the fourth part relates to spirituality management. Vedas speak of knowledge of the self, which is knowing the self. Once you know the self, you see, you know the entire universe. Once you manage the self, everything else can be managed. Multinationals can be managed, provided you are able to manage yourself. You are able to manage your time, you are able to manage your work, you are able to manage your objectives, and you are able to manage your total quality as such, which has to emerge from whatever we are doing. So exercise in self-management is one of the important contributions that Vedas are making to the management science. Then they speak of relations management, how to develop relations, how to build relations, how relations can be made cordial, how harmony can be established, how peace can be made prevalent. All these things come only when you are able to think, interact, and express in such a way that communication becomes very effective and qualitative. Relationship is therefore the sine qua non of happiness and productivity. And this is emphasized in various ruchas mentioned in Vedas. And the entire second part is devoted to relations management. Then we are directed towards the environment in which we live. And we have to be very eco-friendly in whatever we do. Environment is to be preserved, and it is from that point of view that one has to be with the nature. One must go with the nature. One must live with the nature. See the nature, observe the nature. In fact, entire scientific thinking and revolution that has taken place is because of this being with the nature and asking oneself why a particular phenomena has come, exists, or develops. So, inquisitiveness, reasoning, and questioning, showing urge for what is going to be very useful, enables you to explore nature and know the rules of nature. Once you know the nature, you can also know how you can make yourself one with the nature. And if you become one with the nature, you become one with the universe. And that in fact is the total unique contribution of this Vedic literature, that one must become one with the Brahma, energy, synergy, or whatever we may call it. So nature management, how nature is being managed very regularly, very punctually. At the same time, it has its own fierce nature, which is also exhibited many times. But whatever happens, happens so spontaneously and with such a scientific status behind it, that we are, as human beings, get more and more access to how we should become more spiritual and synergic. And then comes the spiritual management, where it has been that we as human beings are not for ourselves but for others. Vivekananda has rightly said that those who live for others are only living, others are already dead, which means that we have to think of others and become selfless while you perform your duty, your performance. It is necessary that we become aware and remain awake for the totality of development as such. If totality develops, you are also developed because you are a part of totality. But that attitude, that thinking, that knowledge, and acquiring such important insight into whatever we are doing enables one to become more spiritual and also, on the other hand, very, very scientific. Science and spirituality are two sides of the same coin. They are not different. A man who is a scientist is also spiritual. A man who is spiritual is also a scientific man, a science man, because science and spirituality go hand in hand. In fact, spirituality is the science of nature, and science is in fact the spirit behind nature. It is from that point of view that we can think of present education from that point of view. Now we have many instances where in fact in Ramayana, in Mahabharata, and in many such epics, for instance Yoga Vasishtha. In Yoga Vasishtha, Vasishtha advises Rama to be very spiritual in his action and living. Antastyagi bhahisangi, antarbodho bhirjada, antareko bhirnana, loke vihara raghava. This is what in Yoga Vasishtha, Vasishtha advises Ram, which means in the mind, you know, only one thing is true, that is Atma, in the body of man or living being, and Paramatma in the total universe. But while living in the world through body, you must be giving reality to whatever you see, even though you know that it is going to be perished. Similarly, you know in the minds of your mind that only one thing is true, all other things are not going to last long. They are all material things. Only one thing is going to live eternally, and that is the soul. And therefore this important advice is given by Vasishtha to Ram, which he has followed. And ultimately he said that yes, it is spirituality which enables you to do what you have to do as a human being without attaching yourself to entity in life. So involvement and detachment are to be simultaneously observed. Similarly, Kalidas also describes that knowledge is not only power, but knowledge is divinity. And for that, he gives 10 qualities to a person who has acquired knowledge. Knowledge means what? You can't describe what is knowledge, but you cannot define what is knowledge, but you can describe the qualities of a person having expertise. So he says, akrodha, vairagya, jitendriyatvam, daya, kshama, shanti, janapriyatvam, nirlobhi data, bhayashoka harta, jnanasya chinnam, dasalakshanaiva. A man who is having peace at heart is the person who is really a learned man. You call yourself expert, at the same time you are restless and not able to relax and develop a poised personality. And it also says that a person who has command over, you see, language, words, is also a person who ultimately provides spirituality to the living. Kalidas was asked that he was going to the river every day and taking a bath at 3 o'clock in the morning and taking with him 2 or 3 fishes in his dhoti and coming back to his home. And so this was reported by other persons to the Darbar at that time. And when the king ordered that at 3 o'clock you should go to the river and bring him in the position in which he will be, Kalidas was brought before the king in that Darbar at 3 o'clock after his bath, having 2-3 fishes in his dhoti put in the armpit. And the king asks Kalidas, "What is this?" Kalidas was not baffled. He was having sort of a purity, unity, and divinity in all that he did, and has acquired command over language, and has written several, you see, dramas and, as we know, several volumes of Sanskrit literature, Shakuntala, Vikramorushya, Malavika Agnimitra, and so on. So he was asked by king, "What is this?" And he said, uttered spontaneously, that this is the book that I am having in my armpit. Kukshe kim mama pustakam. This is my book. Kimudakam. Why water is coming out of it. Kavyeshu sarodakam. Because it is a book of poems. And this rasa is coming out of the poems which are written in the book. Kavyeshu sarodakam. Gandhakim. Why there is smell? Kalu Rama Ravana Vadha Sangrama Gandhotkata. The book contains the war between Ram and Ravan. And therefore, you see, this smell is coming of the bloodshed which happened in that particular war. Puchakim. Why there is this sort of a tale? Puchakim. Kalu Tadopatra Likitam. It is written on Tadpatra, therefore it's like that. And then the king says, "Show me what you are saying, talking." And therefore he threw that particular, you see, whatever he had in the armpit under the dhoti. And then when the fishes were there, actually it was converted into a Ramayana. And Ramayana Grantha came before the king from the armpit of Kalidas. Vacha siddham idam manoharataram etattu Ramayanam. So spirituality is to be experienced on the basis of unity, purity, and divine living. And it requires sort of sadhana. It is not without effort that things can come. And that is education. So education must include, see, a sort of a training to the mind and training to all other parts of developing a holistic personality. There are 6 important parts of total living which are to be nurtured through education: physical, psychological, intellectual on one hand, and at the same time mental and moral and also totally cosmopolitan. All these aspects are to be considered while we are thinking of making education more relevant and meaningful. So it is from that point of view that we can definitely say that in the present world, in which we are living, which is volatile, which is uncertain, which is complex, and which is also ambiguous. One can accept challenges and convert them into opportunities only when higher education is made more relevant, more responsive, and more effective towards developing the qualities of not only giving new and scientific knowledge, but also right attitude, appropriate skills, and important habits, which is the sine qua non of spiritual living. Spirituality and higher education, therefore, are very important topics, very relevant for the present times. We are at present going through this virus, which has created devastation all over the world, and it's anybody's thinking as to how, you see, the whole world has been shaken by this particular epidemic. 600 years back, this has happened in the history of our mankind. A book written by Watson on Black Death mentions that as early as in 1543, there occurred a sort of a virus which came from China, entered into Italy, and came to India and then spread all over the world, killing at that time the population which was only 80 crores. Out of that, 45 crores was killed in less than 120 days in those days. Even today, we have not been able to find any vaccination or any other panacea for such a thing, having developed science to this particular level and bringing different technologies to our command. In those days, 1543, we can imagine what people would have been, you see, how they were living and how they have faced that particular situation. And then smaller or in little more dimension, see, this has happened during the last century also. 1944, 1946. But some remedies were found at that time, and it was not spreading as it is being spread today because of this virus, for which there is no solution found till today. But scientists are making an effort, and it will be like that. We know that it was Copernicus and Galileo, the first scientists of the world, who were living in those days. Galileo was living in 1641, 1631, 1641, 1689. This is his period. And he was the first person to invent telescope, a very powerful telescope, through which he can observe the entire universe, and found out that there are lakhs of Akash Gangas in this universe, and the entire universe is expanding. And then he says that since it is expanding, we cannot have any control. But during those days, when we come to India and see our own history, we have people like Brahmir, Aryabhat, who have whatever knowledge they have at their command, could estimate the distance between Earth and Sun, Earth and Moon, Moon and Sun, and can predict what will happen at a particular point of time, knowing the speed of these planets and their movements, that they are moving. All planets are moving in this universe. So it is through knowledge only, it is through education only that we can have higher satisfaction of creating a happy and healthy world. Health is very important, followed by intelligence, followed by mature mind, followed by sensitivity, and lastly by socially important values. These are the 5 important parameters on the basis of which, you see, we have to make our living more useful and resourceful. And we are very happy that a country with 136 people, crores of people, 65% of this population is young today, and they will rule the world for next 20, 30 years. So it is from that point of view that higher education must be reoriented, refashioned, redesigned, re-engineered, suitable to the requirements of the present times, making them more powerful in their hands for creating a better world, creating a better situation. And I'm sure if education like that develops certain qualities, and love and affection becomes the beginning and end of education, the character remains the beginning and end of knowledge, and perfection becomes the beginning and end of culture, human beings will emerge not only competent and confident, but they will be able to create a better world, converting all incoming challenges into opportunities. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Really, it was a very informative webinar for us. Thanks, sir, for guiding and sharing different views with us. It was very encouraging session for all of us. Now, after delivering a lecture on spirituality in education, I would like to call Sir Dr. M.S. Gosavi to guide us more in our question answer session. Sir, can you please unmute yourself and start your video? Okay,
Thank you.
sir. Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
Yes.
Sir, one of our participants requesting you to elaborate about Panchakosh theory and how it helps in a holistic development of a learner. Please guide, sir.
Now, Upanishads, which have come from Vedas, they provide a clue to this Panchakosh theory. You see, Indian thinking and philosophy believes not only in body, mind, intellect, but it also believes in soul that everyone has. And that soul is clustered by these 5 sheets, 5 koshas as we call them. Number 1 is Annamaya Kosh. Number 2 is Pranamaya Kosh. Number 3 is Manomaya Kosh. Number 4 is Vijnanamaya Kosh. And number 5 is Anandamaya Kosh. So these are the 5 aspects of life which are covered and which are to be properly taken care of for making them total holistic life and living through education. So Annamaya Kosh refers to health, arogya. It all depends upon what you eat, how you eat, and that ultimately gives you vitality, stamina, strength, and capacity to work. So you have to be very careful in this respect and try to be as pure as you possible in a given time. Regularity, punctuality, all these things are very important. And therefore came the science of Ayurveda as a branch of our Rigveda, where everything is stated about the health of a person. Then Pranamaya Kosh refers to the breathing capacity of a person. That is fixed, but you have to make it stronger and stronger in such a way that it produces skills, makes you proficient. So it is through this Pranamaya Kosh that one becomes very dexterous, one becomes very skillful, and can make his knowledge useful to the society through acquiring skills. And we have always said that skills are not born. They can be acquired. They are not gifts. They can be acquired. So through practice and through proper guidance and through proper attitude, one should become a lifelong learner and acquire as many skills as possible, so that will enable him to come through the difficulties which one is experiencing at a point of time, and at the same time make his total work as perfect as possible. The number 3 is Manomaya Kosh. Manomaya Kosh refers to quality of mind to be developed, mind management, as we call it. You have to have balanced mind. Everybody has mind, but very few have balanced mind. So this capacity to relax and make your total energy more conserving and useful, and make it more productive. See, you have to require some sort of education which should be related to developing a balanced mind, a culture which will create poise in the personality. What is good and what is bad is known to all through education. But taking action so that good things will follow, good results will follow, one will benefit. So purity of mind is very important. Then comes this Vijnanamaya Kosh, which is in fact very important for bringing sensitivity in the society. You must have compassion. You must feel for others. You must say to yourself that I am one of you. And let that new sort of a philosophy percolate in the society that all are one. All are the creatures of God. And therefore there cannot be any unnecessary conflicts required to be resolved, because the other type of attitude that one adopts. So this is also a very, very important part of making your total living holistic, Vijnanamaya Kosh. And lastly, it is Anandamaya Kosh. The purpose of life is to enrich the society and enjoy. The purpose of education also is the same, to make yourself more and more productive, useful, and make a better society than what it was when you were born. When you are living this world, you must create a society little better than what it was earlier. That is the function of education. And that is in fact the function of a human life. By creating an impact of the quality of mind that you have and the culture one has. See, Anandamaya Kosh is a very important part of total living of the person. And simple way Upanishads are telling us that how to create this Ananda in the life. When you know the circumstances and the situation in which it goes on changing and is not so favorable. And therefore Upanishad says that you must understand that you owe many things to somebody else when you are living, when you are talking, when you are working, and when you are moving. See, nature is already there. You have not created the nature. Srushti is already there. You are not creating the Srushti. You are a part of the Srushti. And therefore, you have to be grateful for all that you have and you see around you, so that that gratefulness creates a sort of a mind which enriches the environment. And stress-free life is possible. Today is the life of tensions and stresses. And if one has to reduce those stresses and tensions, the only alternative available to us is to remain grateful for everything that is happening and that is before us and in which we are existing. Expressing gratefulness makes your mind so holy and sacred that ultimately you create from the work which you have been doing more enrichment than otherwise. So this is a theory of making education more useful to the society, making your living more qualitative and helping you to go on the path of spirituality. So 5 koshas are to be properly flourished through the education system, and therefore there was a Gurukul system where for maximum 15 years, minimum 12 years, his disciple was staying in the house of a guru and doing everything, keeping in mind that service to humanity is service to God. That is how this philosophy has been developed and is a part of our spiritualism.
Thank you, sir. One more question. Explain something about the divine learning or guide us on what should be the teacher's priority while imparting education for the year 2021.
Pardon?
Explain something about divine learning or guide us on what should be the teacher's priority while imparting education for year 2021.
Very good question. See, teachers are very important in molding the life of an individual, and through individual, the molding the life of a society at large. So nation builders, these teachers are. And therefore, teachers must think before doing many things so that their part that they are playing will become more productive and useful. And the priorities that the teacher should give is, see, teacher must set an example for the students. Students know what the teacher is doing. 24 hours he is before the society at large. In case of other workers and other managers and other persons in the society, so they are only when they are at work under observation of the society. At other times, they are free to do anything. But teacher is a type of a personality where 24 hours he is taken as a character builder, a model, and learning therefore which is imparted to the student by the teacher depends upon how he easily and most meaningfully conveys what he wants to convey. Therefore, teacher should plan for his 25 years of his span of life for his teachership. 5 years he must spend for more and more reading so that he becomes a master of that particular subject in a total perspective. If I am a teacher of a particular subject, it's not that other subjects I need not deal with. See, the philosophy of life, the economics of things which are happening, see, all constitutional, requirements. A teacher ultimately has to retire in the society after a particular age, and then he must become the counselor in the society. He must become a problem solver in the society. Now, if that is to happen at the end, if not earlier, see, foundation and basis will have to be created properly by developing a reading habit. Therefore, teacher first and foremost must be a lifelong learner. Secondly, he must spend some time for thinking. In society, nobody thinks. And if teacher does not think, then there is nobody to think. Therefore, teachers have mainly to be thinkers, giving lead to the society on various issues and problems which the society is facing. Therefore, a teacher has to be a critical thinker. And he must also become a leader of change. Change he should not resist. New things he must welcome. A teacher has to be very innovative. And for that purpose, he must acquire competencies. He must get trained and retrained at the passage of time, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, like that. So that training makes him perfect. So on the basis of his own thinking, he must find out what type of training he should have, what type of skill he should acquire, what are the present generation requirements and expectations and aspirations. And from that point of view, make himself prepared for becoming ultimately a counselor in the society. Today, this is lacuna in the society. Thousands of teachers are there, but they themselves are not able to give counsel to their own family. Where is the question of giving counsel to the society at large? So many times we are saying that a multinational is being managed by a person of that capacity, but he is not able to manage his own family. Then what is the use of his managing a multinational? Like that, a teacher is teaching to the class at a particular point of time, but he is really not becoming useful to the society at large. And that is the main problem of today's environment. That families, society at large, and institutions, they require counseling, advice, and sort of new paths to be created for making themselves more useful and innovative. And that is, I think, the function of a teacher. It can come to him by he becomes a very good reader, critical thinker, a change agent, a leader of change. And for that, he must plan and decide his priorities. And he also should not neglect his family, his total living in the society. That is also a part of his total giving more and more satisfaction and enrichment. Therefore, if we make our teachers more comfortable and renew their total assets that they have in terms of writing, research, publication, presentation, and other things also. And I feel that students have to become entrepreneurs in the present time. Students, some will get jobs, but most of the students will have to be self-job oriented. And therefore, in the training that the teacher imparts, he himself must include in his curriculum as to how he can give lessons to the students to become more and more entrepreneur and innovative champion. Thank you.
Hello. Now I would like to request Dr. Kalulkar sir to take a part in this session. Over to Kalulkar sir.
Thank you, madam. Sir, this is Kallurkar, Principal, Atharva College of Engineering, Malad. And I had a small query. It was just now mentioned that spirituality is science of nature. So can you please throw more light on this? How spirituality is the science of nature?
Sir, you need to unmute.
Attitude of mind, which is, you see, work is worship. Nature, you see, you have got outstanding examples where nature gives everything to others. Trees are there, rivers are there, everything, mountains are there, everything is there. And they are not using for themselves. They are not discriminating at all. It's not that when the tiger comes to drink the water, the river will say, no, water is not available. Like that. See, it's available to all. No discrimination. And 24-hour service. And remaining pure while giving service. See, is the quality of the nature. And therefore, nature breeds spirituality. Nature, therefore we say, spirituality is the science of life and science of nature. wherever there is life and wherever there is nature, see, spirituality is automatically flourishing. And that is how we look to all these things. Sun coming every day, rising every day and giving light. Like that, you see, the sky giving you immense sorts of pleasure, enabling our sages in those days to utter, see, ruchas, which ultimately are prayers of the nature. And they bring strength that they have to you by simply praying. So prayers also is a very important part of, you see, natural living. In Bible also it is said that if you pray every day, there will be a miracle every day. And this has been experienced by many. So prayers have an important, you see, value in life, and they contribute meaningfully for making you sort of spiritual. Therefore, spirituality cannot be defined in a way and cannot be said that this practice is spirituality. You have to develop attitude and approach towards your living and life in such a way that you become one with the totality. All are one, and I am one of them. And I therefore see equality everywhere. As nature provides us all these things to all people in common without any discrimination. My time, my work, my expertise, and my living also should be for all. And from that point of view, you see, spiritual living is what nature is reflecting us, telling us, right from the birth of the universe till present day. And therefore I say that spirituality is the science of nature or the science of life.
Hello. Now I would request our principal madam to take a charge of the session.
Principal ma'am, please unmute yourself. Yeah, now you can start.
Yes. Thank you, Vinaya. Thank you for such a nice session. Before giving vote of thanks, there is one question with me, sir. I received this question that in today's world, instead of job seekers, job givers are to be developed through educational institutions. So how spirituality contribute in entrepreneurial development? Sir, kindly throw some light on this particular aspect.
A very good question, because you see, entrepreneurship is number of qualities to be acquired for standing on one's own feet. See, and therefore, entrepreneur and all other categories of people, they stand apart in this particular sense, that entrepreneur has to be a very great person in his own way. He has to do everything. We start with a sole trader, and then become a very big corporate organization. But to start with, every person has to do all sorts of activities and works which are to be done by different people little later. Therefore, you see, his attitude and bent of mind will have to be developed in such a way. Number one is hard work. Number two is faith to be created. Number three is work for others. And number four is giving satisfaction 100% to all concerned. Now, if this is acquired, this is the quality of a spiritual person. And we are only making a difference between entrepreneur and non-entrepreneurs, as we can see, self-employed and employed. Employed persons also have to inculcate these qualities, there's no doubt about that. But one who has to run the business and show on his own, it is necessary that he must acquire some more qualities which will make him, you see, one with the situation. Therefore, he has to develop a team. He has to develop his own path. He has to develop his own vision. And all that, you see, with the help of guidance available at a particular point of time. Of course, there are teachers and persons who will guide him initially also and long run. I have known many students who were given guidance right from the beginning till they become entrepreneurs of the first state order. But basically this attitude that we have to be one with the situation, come what may, and faith that we will ultimately be successful, that type of attitude ultimately creates spirituality in the person. And this spiritualism is a sort of an environment in which one does that particular work and acquires those qualities and strengths. Therefore, entrepreneurship requires, according to me, some more qualities which otherwise are not required for an employer, at least initially, or for a period of time. But entrepreneur, right from the first day, he must therefore think ahead of time how useful to the society, how he can build up his own, you see, empire with fair means, do everything without hurting anybody, without creating injury in the society. That should be his lookout. And once he adopts this particular outlook, he becomes, you see, a person with spiritual strength. And therefore, entrepreneurship very much requires spiritual exercise, spiritual living, and qualities to be developed. Scientific temper also is one of the part of spiritualism. Therefore, he has to have all these qualities.
Ma'am, please unmute yourself. Yeah, you can start.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am,
Hello, Vinaya.
Yeah, ma'am, you're audible now.
Yes, yes. Thank you very much, sir. I think the delegate who has raised this particular question must have been satisfied very properly. Now, I would like to propose a vote of thanks for this particular session. Honorable Sir Dr. M.S. Gosavi, Dr. Deshpande Madam, and all my colleagues. Sir, I am grateful to you for accepting our invitation and being with us for today's seminar. This session, after elaborating the purpose of education, Sir has enriched us on various facets of spiritualism. In a very simple and lucid manner, he narrated about Vedas, Ruchas, Upanishada, Bhagavad Gita. He explained philosophy of Vedas for self-management, relations management, nature management, spirituality management, and its importance to acquire a peaceful and happy life. He has guided us on how to make higher education more effective, productive through spirituality, how to make our life useful, resourceful through spirituality. Sir has stressed in a very interesting manner the relationship between education and spirituality, science and spirituality, and spirituality and science. I am sure this session equipped all of us to convert the challenges into an opportunities in this uncertain and complex COVID-19 situation. On behalf of the college and on my personal behalf, I express a deep sense of gratitude towards Sir Dr. M.S. Gosavi for enlightening all of us on the theme of the webinar, Spirituality in Education. My sincere thanks to Dr. Mrs. Deshpande Madam for giving such a nice introduction of our resource person, Sir Dr. M.S. Gosavi. I am thankful to Shri Shailesh Gosavi, Establishment Director of Gokhale Education Society, for his earnest cooperation. I thank Principal Dr. Kallurkar for his contribution. I also thank principals of various colleges who have participated in this particular webinar. I thank all participant delegates for their overwhelming response. About 650 delegates registered for this webinar. I appreciate the hard work, efforts taken by our technical team, Professor Vinaya Bagwe, Professor Sheetal Kumar Zarkoli, Professor Rupal Sheth, Professor Forum. Thanks to all who have contributed for conducting this webinar a successful one. Once again, thank you very much. Stay safe and stay home. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much, sir. With this, I think today's webinar session gets over. Thanks. Yes, Vinaya.